can we make buildings which are culturally relevant and climatically responsive? There are dozens of ways in which we can without resorting to something like this. Today, let me share with you 7 such ways. When in Rome, I'll change be like a Roman to dress like a Roman. We dress as per the climate, and clothing is a fantastic example which is culturally relevant and climatically responsive. Our buildings, as all of you will agree with me, are an extension of our clothing. So why aren't our buildings wearing different clothes in different climates? When you're in a cold place like London in winter, you wear a down jacket. What this does is it increases your thermal mass and creates a level of insulation and prevents your body heat from escaping. Your building also can make very effective use of thermal mass in order to conserve the cool or the warmth inside it. This is a project that I was involved in restoration in the heritage French town of Pondicherry. The walls of this were 2 feet thick, which created a time lag between the outside and the inside. Of course, if I were to make the villa today, I would use cavity walls, which is a far more resource efficient way to achieve the same benefit of the thermal mass of the heritage villa. Recently, I was discussing with the real Mr. Phunsukh Wangdu from Three Idiots, and he also, like me, works a lot with earth architecture, although I work in South India and he's working in Ladakh, and that was the main difference in climate. But there were so many things that we shared in common. One of the things was that inside this cavity, he was putting crumpled newspaper, and that was remarkably increasing in a hot and dry place, unlike Chennai, his thermal coefficients. The second example, can somebody guess? Where does this line come from? Wind lovers. Wind is one of the 6 factors that directly influence our thermal comfort. Can we all do a small experiment? Is everybody fine with a small experiment? Okay. I'll request you to hold the back of your hand close to your mouth and with a wide mouth, blow hard onto the back of your hand. And now with a narrow mouth, blow softly. You observe the difference? Which one was cooler? The second one. This is an example of the funnel effect. Your buildings can make excellent use of the funnel effect to create thermal comfort. This is a residential gated community that we designed in Pondicherry, Auroville. It's Pondicherry's first integrated sustainable development community where we have implemented everything right from building design, low embodied energy, low operational energy, complete rainwater harvesting, segregation of rooftop and surface runoff, bio-treatment of human waste, renewable sources of energy, the works. One of the things before I started designing this project was that I did wind readings for 1 year. Actually, for 1 year before finalizing the orientation and the building envelope. And with effective use of the walls and the building envelope, the way the breeze moves in through this gated community is remarkable. You could be standing on the road outside and there is absolutely no breeze. The minute you come inside the gated community, the breeze is blowing in your face. These are the kind of wind studies we do for each and every project to maximize how every room behaves at different times of the day. In the project that I'm just showing, the Oroma French Villements, every single house is a Hawa Mahal. It's replete with breeze at all times of the year. The third example, when we go out in the sun, we wear a hat. And if buildings are an extension of us, how about giving the building a hat? This is a project that I'm doing close to Delhi. It is an enterprise incubation center. And with the use of this hat and the angle at which the hat is located, we are not just cutting down the heat, but are bringing in the quality and the quantity of light that space requires. Another example of a hat is from a school which is currently under construction in Indore. And with this hat, the entire semi-open areas of the school, which are the verandas, are the most preferred spaces for the school children. As a little girl, I remember spending a lot of my summer holidays at my great-grandmother's house in Hyderabad. So she had this large haveli with this central courtyard, and one of those rooms used to be my rooms. But because I was going there in the summer, and of course there wasn't any air conditioning, she would come to my room every day and pour water on the floor. And as a little girl, I always wondered what she did, but I had a tremendous inspiration from her because she was a technologist, a building technologist. The way she used to make the water inside the earthen pot cool just by changing the sequence of the white cloth and the red cloth. I mean, she used to give us almost refrigerated water because of that. She used to pour water on the floor of my room, and as the water would evaporate, similar to what happens when we perspire, that the evaporating perspiration takes the heat away from the human skin. And similarly, my room would become remarkably cooler. When I became an architect, I decided that I have to apply my great-grandmother's principle in design. These figures are so self-explanatory about what we should use for producing thermal comfort, isn't it? So the first example that I gave, which was about thermal mass, which is using brick versus water. So with brick, if you are able to do thermal mass for a certain amount of resource, imagine the exponential level of efficiency that one will achieve by using water. This is one of the projects that I designed and built myself over a 5-acre campus close to one of South India's most important wetlands called the Ushteri Lake, which receives a large number of over 75 species of migratory birds from as far as Russia every November, December. Over here, the entire building from foundation to roof is built out of unfired earth, and that too from the very site on which the building stands. So we dug out a reservoir, took the earth out of it, and with that earth we created the entire 5-acre complex. Less than 5% of building materials were actually bought from outside. This is a large space which holds about 500 people on a typical day. You see these copper-colored pipes? They are bringing down all the rooftop rainwater, which is coming on the curved arched roof, bringing it down along the pillars, and we collect it in various ponds like this, both surface as well as underground. We use the rooftop harvested rainwater and run it in a bed of pipes laid under all the floors of the entire complex. We are using the specific heat of water because water will hold more than double the amount of heat as the same volume of brick or stone or concrete. So as the rooftop rainwater, which is coming from the vault, coming down through this pipe, collecting in an underground sump, and then slowly passing through this bed of pipes, as this water keeps circulating throughout the day, it keeps absorbing heat from the building and keeps draining heat out of the building back into the sump. And over the sump, I've put a radiator of a truck, literally a radiator of a truck, where the water keeps flowing through those narrow tubes and a fan is blowing through the radiator and it expels all the additional heat out. So the water again comes down to 22 degrees Celsius for the following morning to start circulating in the floor again. This way, I was able to bring down the mean radiant temperature of the building below, in a place like Pondicherry, below 30 degrees, just by using a 1/4 HP pump. Satish, you will understand the efficiency if I were to achieve the same level of thermal comfort through air conditioning and use air, which is actually an insulator to conduct coolness, how much more energy it would have used. With a 1/4 HP pump, we are cooling the entire place where 500 people are sitting and there are no fans. And because the floors are so cool, people don't want to get up from the floor. The fifth example, this was a phrase that I heard a lot in the US. I don't know if in India it's a popular phrase, but if you are dealt a bad hand, how do you turn it into something useful? If you are given lemons, metaphorically, how do you make lemonade out of it? So, in a place as hot, as humid, and as thermally uncomfortable, naturally, as Chennai, how would you take this excess heat and turn it into something beautiful, which will also give you thermal comfort? There are more than 50 ways of doing it, but any ideas? Roof gardens are an excellent way of converting heat and light into flowers, fruits, and vegetables. Needless to say, they provide excellent thermal comfort to the floors underneath. Above my own house, which I will show now, I have created a large roof garden. Barriers. Last week, when I was in my hometown of Mumbai, I couldn't go without the umbrella for a single day outside, totally drenched. The way the umbrella creates an effective barrier between you and the rain, why can't we create barriers, literally umbrellas, vertically and horizontally, to protect our buildings from the unwanted solar radiation? This is the balcony of my home, and it so effectively prevents incident solar radiation from 9 a.m. onwards from touching the main wall of my house. Combined with the right choice of brick, so obviously the U value shows that I have chosen this brick instead of this. Combined with these two things, I brought down the entire air conditioning load of the entire villa to 35%. Satish got it. It's not what you think. The cardinal directions play such an important role in the way our lives function. So why shouldn't they play an equally important role in the way our buildings function? For every project that we do in our office, we do extensive studies with sun path diagrams and solar shading. And all of you are architects, needless to say, longer sides facing north and south. So this is a bungalow that I just finished in Baroda a few months ago. And with orientation, with a simple use of orientation, we significantly reduced air conditioning loads. This is our country, and we are proud of its diversity. How can we do this to a country with 5 distinctly different and diverse climatic zones? This is Chennai. Out of the 8,780 hours in the year, you can see less than 7% of those hours, which are represented, each dot over here represents 1 hour, are inside the thermal comfort zone. My job as an architect is to pick one dot after the other and keep putting it in this box through all the various dozens and dozens of strategies for green building design. In most of our projects, we are able to achieve 75% of these dots inside this box through architectural design. And only for the last 25% of these dots do we rely on air conditioning, only when necessary. And our focus has always been on how can we integrate the needs of human beings and communities with the needs of the planet. And that, according to me, is smart buildings. The title of today's conversation, Making Smart Buildings and Making Buildings Smart, was actually the title of my TEDx talk, where I'm talking about smart through design versus smart through gadgets. In this talk, in addition to, this is one of the slides from the TED talk, in addition to thermal comfort, I'm also talking about lighting and acoustics. The idea being that let us use gadgets to make smart buildings smarter. Let's not rely on gadgets to make dumb buildings smart. For that, we have design. Thank you.